right, guys, let's check out a watch that has my attention, especially now that I've actually handled it. So this is the RZE Endeavour. So Travis, the brand owner, sent this over for us to check out. And thankfully, I think, I don't want to say I begged, but I definitely asked very nicely from Travis if he could donate one of these models once they hit production to me, to the channel, and he agreed to do so. So Travis, that's awesome of you to do. I appreciate it because I'm really digging this model in this colorway. There's other colors. There's a yellow one, which the yellow one looks crazy good. There's a gray one, which is almost black. And then there's a dark blue one. All of those look great, but this one has my attention. I love these white dials, obviously. I love my white dial watches, but this one has a trick up its sleeve, and we'll talk about that later on. So case size on this is 40.5. Kind of feels more like a 40, and lug to lug is a pretty short 46 and about a half, 46.5 millimeter. You can see drilled lugs. I mean, the case shape on this is just spectacular. Very like German watch-ish kind of shapeage, which there's no secret that that's some of the inspirations that Travis had with his design. Only 12.5 millimeter thick. And I say only, I mean, this could have been thinner if it was using like a thinner Swiss movement or a thinner Miyota movement, but this is using the Seiko NH38, so it tends to be a little bit thicker when you use those NH movements. So still pretty thin, really, 12.5. For a dive watch, a lot of dive watches are like 13.5. Flat sapphire crystal with AR coating on the underside, 20 millimeter lug width here. This H-link bracelet tapers down to 16 millimeter. We just talked about this on a previous video. When you have a taper like that, that just makes it feel so good on wrist. Now the clasp is going to be 4 micro adjust. It's going to be a simple press down and a fold over keeper. The center part's milled. This is actually stainless steel, and it's coated to look like the titanium that the rest of it is made out of. This is a grade 2 titanium links of the bracelet and the case and bezel. And then it's treated with what's called like a ultra hex, and it's a scratch resistant coating that makes it like 8 times harder than stainless steel. So it's going to be really good scratch resistance, which is kind of nice when you're talking titanium watches. We all know how easily titanium will show marks. So let's get into, oh wait, I did weigh this. Size for my 7¼ inch wrist, 99 grams. That's perfect. I love titanium, the way it feels, whether it's hot or cold. It just doesn't transmit that energy from your wrist as much. And then its lightweight nature of only 99 grams on this. And I kind of like the powdery gray color on this. Very, very everyday tool type looking watch. Let's see, 200 meter water resist screw down crown. It's using the Viton gaskets, the really good stuff. It's going to have C3 and BGW9 lume. As you can notice, you can see clearly the color. So you have that polar white dial, and then you have those filled in indices, which are kind of framed with almost like a gunmetal color. Like if you see the handset when it hits the light like that, you can see they're not really black. They're kind of like a gunmetal. Just a really good contrast, super legible on this thing. And you can see, I'm a huge fan of when you do like a tritone colorway. This easily has 3 colors, if not more, right? Well, when you have the C3 printed in there, it's going to be like that greenish tone to it. I love that. And then you have the blue tips on the 12, 3, 6, and 9. I'm digging that too. So that's going to be BGW9, and the dial glows too. We're going to do a lume shot soon. The dial glows and all the other stuff glows. It is like a lume junkie's dream. Like it's very good. So you can see nice printing on the bezel, and then you have a loomed pip up there at the 12. The crown is just under 7.5 millimeter, and it is signed. Look at the angles and the finishing on this thing. This is a prototype, and it's been passed around. So it's definitely, it's getting some marks. You can see, maybe not there, maybe over here, you can see it's been sized. You can see the scratch marks from people getting crazy with the screwdrivers. And it still hold up pretty good because, like I said, this has been passed around. So it's been worn. I've worn it at work for the last 3 days straight. And I typically, when I wear a watch, I'll usually do like 3 to 4 days straight. And I want to wear this one more. So I am super excited to get this thing in when the production model comes out. The only other one, and you can see there's actually a little bit of texture to that dial. The only other one I really want to see is that yellow dial one. You can see the case back scratched up a little bit. And usually that happens because the hardness coating, rubbing against the hardness coating, that's usually what scratches, and that's what's happened on this case back. So hard material against hard material will show scratches. Bezel action, 120 click, and it's a very good tight. I mean, there's no play in it at all, but it does have that weird titanium bezel feel where it just, I mean, it's clean. Don't get me wrong, it's clean. It almost feels like it's ceramic ball bearing clean. I'm not sure if that's what it has, but easy enough to turn, plenty of traction, and good action, and it lines up good. But it's lightweight titanium bezel feel. It's rare that you'll have a titanium dive watch with a titanium bezel that actually feels like a stainless steel bezel. It's usually not the case. It has its own feel, the titanium does. All right, so let's pop this on wrist. Oh, before I do that, I want to show it real quick next because I happen to have a German watch here with me, the Damasco. Look at the color on that. It's almost identical. I mean, the Damasco's not titanium. It's the hardened, ice-hardened steel or whatever. But you can see where some of the inspiration comes from. These really nice German brands like Damasco or Zinn or something like that. That's where they're inspired from. Okay, let's pop this on wrist. So they're doing a pre-order. It's not a Kickstarter. It's just a pre-order. So I'll put a link in the description. You can do that. And the pre-order price is only $399. So $400 under pre-order. It's going to be higher than that after the pre-order. So if you want one, do it now. Now's the time to do it. Snapshot in time. This is February of 2021. So if you're watching this a year from now and you're like, hey, Rob, where can I get one of those RZE Endeavors? You were sleeping, man. You missed out on that one, sort of thing. Maybe they'll do a reissue or something like that because they'll probably only make so many. And then they'll move on to another model. Sometimes they'll come back and do a reprint on them, you know, but... All right, now, to get the full effect on this, I am going to charge this bad boy because I want us both, well, all of you guys and me, to experience the full effect. So there's some low light, you can see, and then full on lume. Yeah. So that is a proper way to do a full, don't get me wrong, you can do a full lume dial like this, like Damasco, and just do the blacked out Arabics and the blacked out hands. Also super legible, and it's very clean and just great looking, right? But check it out what happens when you do BGW9 for the dial, and then you do the C3, and then almost like a little bit different formula even for on top of the 12, 3, 6, and 9, like I said. That's even a little bit different color yet again. So it's just maybe the way the BGW9 is applied or whatever, but super legible, super fun, and just a home run of a watch. If you guys like titanium watches, definitely check these out. I think it's a killer option. So thanks for watching, guys. Big thanks for Travis again for sending this over and donating one of these production models when they're done to the channel. I really appreciate it. I'm looking forward to wearing that. See you guys in the next vid.